All right, you guys, welcome back to my channel for another video. My name is Sarah. This is my husband, Josh, and we are going to be going over a recap of the sessions we attended today during our first day at the Teach Them Diligently Homeschool Convention located in Branson, Missouri.
Good.
Okay, so I'm literally crying and laughing so hard because
I don't know what happened.
Okay, part of doing your YouTube videos is getting a picture for the thumbnail, right? So the thumbnail is the part where it's a picture everybody sees before they decide if they want to click on on your video.
It's why you clicked on this video in the first place.
We'll see. I don't know what kind of thumbnail I'm going to come up with because we haven't really done a video together yet, and so I was like, okay, we need a picture for the thumbnail. I don't know what happened, but like
Nothing good.
these pictures are
She looks great.
terrible.
I'm having issues.
So anyways, I don't know. Hopefully you clicked on this video and you're watching this video despite whatever thumbnail I end up with.
I'm
And
sorry.
I have like snot running in my throat and I'm gonna have to try to speak. Okay, here we go. I don't know. Today was our first day at our the main convention for Teach Them Diligently. We've been coming here this is our 8th year, I think. Because Luke is going to be in 7th grade, and we started coming here right before he was in kindergarten when we first so much phlegm now, this is terrible. We started coming here when we were deciding whether or not we were going to homeschool. We wanted to learn all about it. One of my friends who homeschooled her kids, she had been coming to this conference for a couple of years and told us about it, said you have to go to this convention, and so we went, and it was literally life-changing.
Where was it the first time?
The first time, well, for a couple of years, they had held it in Nashville, Tennessee, and then they were in Pigeon Forge last year, and then this year is their first year in Branson.
2
so
years in Pigeon Forge.
2 years in Pigeon Forge, and then first year in Branson, which, it's going to be a nice location. I think it's closer to home for us. Seems like the venue is really good. First day went really well. It's very late, very late. We had a really long day. Session started at like 10:30 in the morning, and it's like 10:30 at night right now, so very late. We had sessions all day. So typically, if you haven't been to a homeschool convention, I'm sure there's lots of different ones. This one, obviously, we take a weekend away. The kids get to spend some time with his sister, stays with them, and she's done that for years now. So they get a little vacation, fun time with Aunt Katie.
We get a vacation.
We get a vacation. So that's one thing. It's a homeschooling convention, but it's also a great time, as homeschool parents who are around our kids all the time, which we absolutely love. It's just a great time to get away and spend some time together. We have some friends that come down who do the same. A lot of them ended up bringing kids this year, which you can bring your kids. They have great children's program options. But taking a couple days to get away, get refreshed. Not only do they have speakers and sessions on homeschooling, but they also have, just parenting in general, spiritual encouragement. Everybody worships together. They have great keynote speakers. Tonight we'll talk about it, but we listened to Ben Carson was the keynote. But in the past, we've had keynotes like Tony Evans. We've had
Kevin
Sorbo, Kirk Cameron, Ken Ham was a keynote. We had, what's the guy the street evangelist? I think it's Living Waters. Why can't I think of his name? It's gonna come to me as soon as we stop. But so he did a keynote one year. So they usually just have fabulous speakers that come in, very encouraging. And it's kind of a time of the year when you're ready to be done with homeschooling for the year. And they used to be kind of February, March. It's a little bit later in the year right now. But it's just great to come listen to the speakers. Even though we've been doing this for 8 years, I feel like I always leave with just encouragement, or at least a few new ideas that I want to take home and implement to make a positive impact on our homeschool or our family.
I leave feeling terrible at how I have been as a husband and a dad.
In a good way.
Oh, yes, in a good way. But I'm usually convicted by all my mistakes because people have really good points of view and they share them with you, and you realize how much better you can do if you just try.
1 year we left, and then we had Oliver, like, a little while later.
Yeah, you gotta be careful at these conventions because
a lot of kids, a lot of big
kids,
families.
And you feel like you need to have more kids.
You
to
don't.
Fit in.
It was just the right time. God knew what he was doing. Oliver he's amazing. So we thought we were done having kids, but anyways, that's another story. But
not for this channel.
We had a little baby fever after that 1 year, right?
Yeah, we were over that though.
Okay, we're over that now. No more kids.
No more kids.
So when you come to your convention, we first day you usually check in, and then they have a schedule. This year I was pretty organized. I tried to pick out which sessions we wanted to go to.
You get a goodie bag.
You get a goodie bag there. Well, it's just a bag. It's been the same bag every year. I don't have it within reaching distance right now, but a lot of like coupons and different pamphlets in there. They had a little scavenger hunt that you can take down to the vendor hall, which we didn't go to today, but we're gonna go scope it out tomorrow when we have more time. So yeah, we planned out which sessions we want to go to. We attended a lot of the same ones today, but there are some more tomorrow that we're going to split up on, which we'll kind of share about because they just have a lot of good ones. So we took some notes and we just wanted to go over not everything obviously, but some of our big takeaways and what we really liked about the sessions, what we learned, some of the big tips that we learned from the speakers that we can see ourselves implementing, some of the different resources, and we thought it would just be fun to get on and chat and maybe give you guys some encouragement and let you hear a little bit of what we heard, or maybe even learn something new or some other resource you want to check out. So I don't know. We have 3 days of this, so we might do this for a couple of days. If you guys like it, hit that like button and let me know.
And leave a comment on if you want to see more videos like this in the future.
See, you're getting the hang of it. Now we just got to work on the thumbnails.
Yeah, and my face. And just
all right.
Everything.
Okay, so where should we start? I think you had more to say about the first session that we went to, which was the what was it called? It was the Steve Noble from Noble U led it, and it was a session on Christian ethics.
Oh, yeah.
Is your student ready for the culture war? That's what the session was called. So
I don't know if I have more to say than you, but I thought it was a very well presented session. It didn't have like physical takeaways. It didn't have anything like we have a clear direction where to go, but it gave us a lot of things to think about with how we approach talking about, culture and civics in our society right now with our kids.
Yeah, I know that's the thing. Some sessions are more kind of you leave feeling kind of like pumped up, like, yeah, I know this is an important topic, talking about ethics, talking about morality versus Christian ethics. Those are really important, and we kind of already do a little bit of it. So to me, there wasn't like a big thing, I'm going to take home and this is what I'm going to implement. He listed a couple of good books that I'm going to check out. Every Good Thing. I didn't get who they were written by. I think you got a list of like notes and stuff. But Fundamental Christian Ethics, Ethics as Worship. So some good books on that to check out. I haven't really done a lot of reading on ethics, but one main thing that he really talked about was how when you're speaking the truth to people, you are loving them, and how, we need to really teach our kids that, speaking the truth isn't, it's not wrong. It's not like culture wants to tell you that you're being hateful. There is an absolute objective truth that exists, and we shouldn't be afraid to stand up for that. Another cool thing that I think we're going to stop at his booth and talk to him tomorrow about whenever we make it down there. He mentioned that either one or two of his kids got into the gaming industry after high school. And I don't know, I was just encouraged to hear that because we have kids who love gaming, especially, our oldest really likes gaming. And a lot of times I feel like that kind of gets a negative spin on it, especially sometimes at conferences. You have a lot of sessions where people are talking about the evils of technology or
that happened today.
Yes, and while there is truth to that, there's also ways that you can use technology to prepare your kids, and if you're being smart about it, teaching them how to navigate it in a good way. And if they have strengths in it, it's important to, like God gives people strength in using technology, and in gaming, there's lots of things behind that. So it'll be interesting to talk to him just to see his thoughts on that, and if he has any tips or anything maybe for parents who have kids that are into that type of thing. So that was encouraging to me. All right, next we saw Sharon Fisher. She is from BJU Press, which is a curriculum that we absolutely love, and she did a session on helping kids develop critical thinking. So evaluative thinking, making rational, reasonable judgments, using what they know to make evaluations and coming to conclusions on their own. She did a great session. I took a lot of notes from her. I'm trying to look and see some of the big things that I wrote down. One thing she said was, this convicted me. She said, when you're in the curriculum, don't skip the questions that ask your kids to explain and apply just because you want to complete the page. I have totally done that when we get to the end, because those are usually questions at the end. And sometimes I'm like, my kids probably aren't going to give me a good answer. I'm like presupposing this in my head. And that's not a good excuse. Like, even though they're going to be hard questions, they need to
practice it.
They need to practice it, and they need to
even if they give you one word answers of yes, no, I don't know, I like it. You got to work on it with them.
That's the stage that they're in right now. So that can be hard, and especially when you're on a time crunch sometimes. Like, I'm very much a schedule person, like want to get the boxes checked and want to get things done. So when we get to those questions, it's like, it's kind of a waste of time to sit here and like analyze this, because sometimes I'm not even very good at that. So it's important, though, that we take the time to have those conversations and let our kids wrestle with that and practice critical thinking. And another strategy she talked about, we actually used it tonight when we were talking to our kids on the phone, because I don't know if it was an article recently or something where we were video chatting with our kids, and I don't remember how it came up, but our son had said something about, don't some people think that birds came from dinosaurs or something. I feel like I'd seen that in a headline or seen something about it recently. Yeah. And Sharon had talked about, when they ask questions like that, I'm so quick sometimes to just give them an answer because I want to know the answers, and I need to fill their head with the right answers. But to develop that critical thinking, we need to let them wrestle with those questions themselves, and also figure out how they can learn answers to that. So these are her words, not mine, but I use them on my son, because she said, and her example was in when some Christians, like if a kid says, some Christians, believe God could have used natural selection to bring about creation and all that stuff. So her response was to ask the kids, well, can you go read Genesis 1? Can you find any evidence in Genesis 1 that would either support this or refute this? So that's what we said to my son tonight. And he doesn't believe that birds came from dinosaurs. He was just kind of saying, like, some people believe this. Well, okay, if some people believe this, let's go to the source of truth. Go read this Genesis 1 in the Bible. And what do you see there? Is there anything that supports this? Or is there anything that refutes this? What do you think about that? And I thought that was so good, because we don't have to have all the answers, right? Sometimes parents are like, I can't homeschool my kids, I don't know everything. And that's not the point of it. The point of it is to teach them how to be critical thinkers and lifelong learners. And
we also taught him that he can get homework assignments even when we're 4 hours away on vacation.
Yeah, they did school today. They had stuff. They had math and quilting and all that fun stuff. All right, so was there anything else on that session that you were remembering? 2. That was the second one. Sessions 3. All day we had, and what's good, it was really good today, because a lot of times we'll be like, okay, we can stop and go get lunch this time because we don't really want to see that,
skip this session, or
we'll leave halfway through. but none of them were like that. Like we didn't eat all day because we were just in sessions. Tomorrow they're going to have lunch breaks built in, which is probably good because we were really hungry.
Yes.
And we went to, this place is nice because they have the landing really close by. So within a 5-minute walk, you can walk and get a lot of food, a lot of shopping, and they didn't have that in the other locations. So that was
like
really cool.
1 or 2 restaurants close by, and they're always crowded. This place has a lot of options, which is nice.
Yeah, they do. Okay, the third one we went to, I know there were some different views on this. I really liked it.
You start off and I'll fill in.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Because I know we have differing views on it.
And that's okay.
I thought it was really good, and then I look at you and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. And you're like okay, well, this was the Pied Piper, how the media is leading our kids astray. Heather Bitterling was the speaker. I didn't write down where she, I wrote down Light Shine Publishing. I'm not sure if that's who she was with, but anyways, she was in the media, like in media work, but she talked a lot about her thing was, talking about the Pied Piper, which is a fable maybe about how, this piper that plays this music and then basically leads all these kids off a cliff or something.
Well,
I don't remember how it started.
He did something for the town, I believe. I think he led the rats out of this town, and then the town wouldn't pay him, so he came back into town, played his piper. He played his pipe and led them off a cliff, which got really dark really fast.
So her main point was, okay, there's this whole list of things that they're tunes that the Pied Piper plays that basically lead our kids away from the truth. So she listed a lot of things that we hear in culture today, like disapproval is hate. That's a tune that the piper plays. Or believing believing there is absolute truth makes you arrogant. Sheltering withholds blessings. Following your heart is the path to happiness. The end justifies the means. Sometimes you have to do what's wrong to protect the people you love. Or sometimes you don't have a choice. So these were all things that we hear a lot nowadays in culture, and things, and her point was the media will often weave things in, and we have to be alert to that because art is communication. So when someone creates art, whether it is actual painting or whether it's music or movies or whatever, a YouTube video, people are creating to express themselves. So
to tell you something.
Yeah, to tell you something. So, they can either be educating you or trying to enlighten you or just entertain. And so,
or trying to sway you to their opinion.
Yeah. So are we being discerning as to what the media is that our kids are consuming? She really stressed that we are the gatekeepers, that God chose us to protect the hearts and minds of our kids. And so I'm trying to pick out some other good points. We are the gatekeepers and we will be held accountable. And then she gave the quote. This is a quote by Jim Rohn. I haven't heard this quote before, but he said, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." And then I was like, okay, that's pretty convicting. I hang out with some pretty good people, so I'm feeling okay about that. But then she asked
the class, like, who you hang out with the most around you. And everyone said different things. And after, 8 or 9 people, no one gave this answer. And she says, well, what about God?
Yeah, no one said God. Is Jesus one of these people? So when you're thinking about the 5 people you hang out with the most, is Jesus one of those people? It's like,
Self-evaluation time.
Yeah. You didn't cry at that one.
I didn't. That was an emotional one for me. That was a kind of a maddening one. Like, you got me. Because, yeah.
Well, and at the same point, thinking about our kids. So who are the 5 people they're hanging out with the most? Are they hanging out with Jesus? Do they spend that time in his word? Are we as parents, saturating them with God's word, teaching them, showing them what it looks like to live a godly life in prayer and in that relationship with God? Are we reading the word? Are we asking for wisdom? So I thought that was really good. And not only just in that relationship with God, but thinking about, and not only their physical friends, but in relating to the media that they consume. If they are consuming a lot of media, who are the people or what are the ideas in that media that they are consuming.
Yeah, another one of how close we're watching what our kids are watching. That's
yeah.
I feel like we do a pretty good job, but we can always do better. And it only takes one slip up to ruin something for our kids.
I know that's the hard part, because you talk about guarding your heart and guarding your mind. And that's the scariest thing for me. Like, once you see something, once you let something in, like, obviously, like, God can take care of and can get rid of things. But I mean, that's really hard to take away, right? So we've got to be the gatekeepers. We have to protect the hearts and minds of our kids. She also talked about kind of letting them, as they get older and get to be a certain age, letting them start to discern things for themselves. So instead of, yes, we're the gatekeepers, but instead of always being the bad guy, like, no, you can't watch this, no, you can't do this. As they get older, she gave the example of if they want to go see a movie with a friend, hey mom, can I go see this movie? Pull up Common Sense Media, let them read the reviews on it, and then say, well, go ahead and read this and you let me know, what do you think about this? Do you think it's a movie you should go see? And, whether it is or not, kind of letting them make those choices and then having conversations about it afterwards. I thought that was really powerful too.
Yeah, and she stressed through all of this that if you make sure your kid has a biblical foundation and they're weighing their choices and what they hear and see against what the Bible teaches us, it's a lot easier, because you can't not do that and keep the Bible out of their lives and keep a biblical foundation out of their upbringing and expect them to make these kind of choices well. They have to have something to weigh it against.
Yeah, the whole counterfeit money. Was she the one who used that example? Or
I'm not sure.
We saw a lot of sessions. Yeah. They're kind of blurring together.
But she did go into one avenue which I am very passionate about, which is gaming. I do 100% agree with her. The topic was brought up first, saying that movies, and especially in games, a lot of the characters are females dressed a certain way, provocatively, and it is targeting males in that industry. And they also have the same for females as well in different areas. But I'm not disagreeing with that, but she listed off a couple of games, and one of them which our kids play, called Roblox, and I disagree with how dangerous it is. She did make it sound like it was completely open Wild West and no one's watching it.
Pornographic ads or whatever kind of can...
Which isn't entirely true. It is a community that is submitted and it is monitored, and it does have a regulatory process built into it. You can't just put whatever one in there, because people look at it and people will report it. So it is something you can guard, and we do.
But could people post something and then kids could see it before it gets reported?
I'm 90% sure that it has to go through a submission process. I'm not sure if that's a human contact process or if it's an automated process. I have to research that a little more, and it did give me a point to think about when I come home to the kids to look at.
From now moving forward, I mean, who knows what's going to happen? We haven't noticed anything. I feel like we are pretty diligent about watching what they do and checking in on things. But
all the screens are in a public area that we all can see. Nothing's hidden. Nothing's in a corner, so we can't see the screen all the time. I feel like we do a pretty good job of trying to stay on top of that.
But I mean, not everybody does, and it is a fine line that you have to be diligent about. We absolutely are not opposed to video games and things like that, and our kids love them, they enjoy them. We do have certain limitations on them, and I don't think they should be villainized, but you do have to, I think what you're saying is there maybe, because when she made a couple of those comments, I kind of looked at you and I was like, I don't know that that's true. So it was hard to tell, like, okay, are you saying that from experience, or have you just heard that from somebody? Yeah. I didn't know, because, I knew you vet a lot of stuff that we do on video games and online, very strict with that. So
I don't know if my reaction was a prideful reaction or if it was a truthful reaction. I feel like I do a pretty good job, and I feel like we guard our kids, but I'm obviously going to look a little closer now that I hear it. But I think video games have a place. They can have a place in your kids' especially we have, 4 kids that enjoy playing together, and it builds teamwork. It does promote fun play for them. They enjoy playing together. They're relatively nice to each other in there. There's some times we have to have conversations, but I guess they present times to have conversations, opportunities.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on.
We're going to kind of move quickly through the last couple of sessions. Well, we did split up for the next one. So I went to see Israel Lane, one of my favorite speakers. Some of the stuff he said at our first convention we went to like changed our lives about
Very
homeschooling.
good.
I've talked to you guys about that. So if you guys have a chance to go see him, I know he travels sometimes, but if you're at a convention, definitely worth seeing. Or just go to, I think it's familyrenewal.org. Go to his website and buy all the books. Buy them from there instead of, you can go to Amazon, but they'll get more money if you go to their website. So familyrenewal.org, and so many good books. But he did a session on common mistakes that Christian parents make, and I'm just going to talk about one of them. He did maybe like 9 or 10 different things that are mistakes that either, I think he's seen happen over the many years he's been homeschooling. They have a lot of kids. They've been homeschooling for a long time. But I thought this was good. He said a mistake is that we can emphasize moralism rather than regeneration. So he talked about, the popularity of all the character training curriculum and character training charts, and kids being pushed to have certain character traits that are holy, but maybe, like we're expecting them to live holy lives maybe before they're unbelievers or before they've been regenerated by the Holy Spirit. So essentially saying, when we're disciplining our kids, are we falling into the trap of emphasizing moralism, like, trying to say, hey, you did that wrong, you need to do this right, just do better, try harder, pick yourself up by the bootstraps and just do better, right? Because we can fall into that trap when we're disciplining and we just want to, it's interrupting our day and we want to get it done and we want to just fix it and move on. That can be really easy to do. But we need to get to the heart of the matter. So instead of just saying, hey, stop hitting your brother, whatever, we need to kind of look at what is really going on and talking with our kids. Why are you hitting your brother? Well, I don't know. Okay, well, I know, because it's, is it because you're loving yourself more than you're loving your brother? That's called pride, and that's, it's called self-love or whatever. And then you're talking about sin and, how, you're a sinner, I'm a sinner, and, obviously kind of being more gentle and going into more depth about it, but then praying and asking for that forgiveness. Like, there's more to it. I love, Ginger Hubbard kind of does the same thing, getting to the heart of the matter. And I love a lot of her parenting tips and techniques. They're easy to forget sometimes in the heat of the moment when you're trying to discipline, but we have such an opportunity there where we can help our kids. The things that we expect them to do sometimes character-wise are fruits of the Spirit. And if they're not born again or they're not living by the Spirit, it's going to be really hard for them to do. They're not going to be able to do it on their own strength. So they need that regeneration. They need Christ. We need to point them to Jesus more than just do better, try harder. And I thought that was so powerful to think of it that way.
Didn't one of the speakers today talk about when your child is having a hard time and they're being prideful, ask them questions about, is this I related? Is it me, myself related? Or are you thinking about so-and-so or somebody else when you're doing something? Because I think that really, I remember that along the similar lines, but yeah, I remember that from my earlier session today.
Gotcha. Well, and when I was listening to Israel Wayne, you were listening to Norm Wakefield, and he's one of your favorites. So that's why we had to split up, because we had 2 really good speakers at the same time. So do you remember anything that you took away from Norm has a special place in my heart. He's one of the few men able to make me cry. He has a way to speak to me, and not just to me, the whole room. He's just not speaking to me, but in a way that makes me evaluate who I am as a man, who I am as a father, and what I'm not doing right as a father, and what I'm not doing right as a man.
and how I'm not.
But all out of love, right?
It's all out of love, but I end up going in there like, okay, the first time I had no idea it was coming at me, and my gosh, that was life changing.
Well, and you were a Christian too.
I was
like
a
the
brand
first
new
time
Christian.
we started going to these conferences. So
yeah, it hit hard, but it's still like now I go in there knowing it's going to happen to me. It's not any easier, I don't think. But I leave and it's just like, yeah, there's a little dust in my eye. You gotta clean that up before I see my wife.
It's encouraging.
It is. It's encouraging.
Edifying and helps
So,
you.
Through all that bumbling, let me get to what he talked about. He brought up the topic of calling out your sons, calling out sons in general, and he related it to basically the Father, God, calls out his son, Jesus, to lead his people, all of us, to salvation. And it's a similar pattern that is followed after that. My Father was to call me out, lead me to Christ, and lead me in a Christian male role going forward. I'm supposed to call my son out, and so forth and so on, all the way down the line. And by doing that, we come alongside our sons, we lift them up, we help them become the man they're supposed to be. We train them in the biblical foundations of how you should treat your wife, how you should think of women, how you should think of your job. There's one set, this is outside of today's session, but there was one session I remember with him years ago. He talked about a man isn't just his job. Who you are is not your job, your career. It's more than that. But that's how we identify a lot of times. Like, hi, I'm Josh. I'm a software engineer. And that's like the first thing you tell people, when they ask you what you do. So it's interesting. This is a new series he's doing, calling out the sons, calling out of the sons.
He's the Spirit of Elijah Ministries.
Spirit of Elijah Ministries, yeah.
What he does.
Yeah, and he has a lot of, what do you call them?
It's great for the homeschool dads.
It is very, he actually, his ministries has a lot of devotionals and series on his website you can go check out and purchase. And I know he has some free materials as well. If you ever meet up at a convention, you can get free books from him. It's really nice. Mm-hmm. In fact, I want to go to the convention hall and get one from him.
Okay, yeah.
Anything else I forgot here? He went over, is it biblical to be called out as a son? We already went over that kind of. He talked about a pretty cool story about a tribe, an old tribe, where this whole stems from tribes would have their young living with the moms in the tents, in the huts, and the men of the tribe wouldn't live with the moms. They'd live in their own huts. And at a certain point in time, the men would all gather around the mom's hut, and they call out the son, saying, come out and be a man. And the son would eventually come out, and then they'd take him off into the wilderness for like 3 weeks or 3 months or 3 something, I forgot. And they would teach him how to be a man and teach him the ways of the people and their religion and all the practices he needs to know to be a successful man in their society. He'd come back and he'd be a boy no more, and he'd be a man from then on. It's very uplifting. So it was a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, I know you always enjoy listening to him speak. I haven't actually heard him speak.
You should.
Before. Yes.
You might want to...
Bring a tissue.
Yes.
All right, so was that it? Was there anything else from him?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot I didn't cover probably, but yeah.
Yeah, we saw a couple of other ones. This is getting kind of long, so I'm going to cut it short. Last thing I'll share is the keynote. Dr. Ben Carson, I feel like I should have known him. I didn't know anything about him before we went to see him. He had a great session. He is from AmericanCornerstone.org, and I wanted to share with you guys, they have a website. It's a free website, free curriculum for kindergarten through 5th grade. Their, I don't know if it's a ministry or their company, basically produces content to help teach people about different issues that face our nation, American history, civics, all of that stuff. And they really are trying to equip people to take action on important issues. And so they put together this free curriculum, video lessons. It's an online learning platform for your younger kids to teach about our nation's values, basically. And they showed one of the videos on the Star-Spangled Banner. I thought it was very educational and really well done. The animation style was not necessarily like our favorite cup of tea, but it was watchable.
If you're a 5-year-old, it could be kind of cute.
Yeah, so go check it out. Their website was littlepatriotslearning.com. It's free. I was thinking about trying it out with our kindergartner. I don't know, maybe over the summer, just seeing what he thought. I haven't taken a real deep look at what the rest of the curriculum entails. I don't know if it's just videos or what it is, but I thought it was great that they have that resource available. So, and he had a really neat story too, just about his story of redemption and how Christ kind of turned his life around. So if you're interested in learning about him, Dr. Ben Carson was the keynote this year. So
I liked him. He was good. I thought he was a good speaker.
Yeah. All right. It is late. We have a busy day.
Early morning.
Yeah, but I hope you guys enjoyed just hearing us chat some of the recaps of the sessions we went to. This was fun.
Yes, we'll have to do it again sometime.
Like this video. We've got 2 more days here, so we'll see. Maybe we will hop on and do another video the next couple of days to share some of our tips and insights, and obviously encourage you guys to come check out Teach Them Diligently if you are able to. They're kind of mainly centralized here in the United States. Next year, I know they're going to be in Branson again, and they're going to be in Pigeon Forge again. I will leave a link in the description below because I think you can already buy tickets for it, and they're usually the cheapest. They're very reasonably priced, so they're usually the cheapest early on. So if you're able to go or think about it, I mean, we've been every year for the past 8 years. Great convention.
And they are doing online programs as well, where all the sessions that we go to are recorded, and you can purchase a subscription on their website.
That's true.
To get the recordings and listen to them and see the presentations just the same way. So
that's true. Yeah, I think so. If you go to that link, I think you'll be able to find, I don't know if it's TTD 365 or if you can just buy, like they used to sell flash drives. Maybe it's all online now, but
I think it's online as well.
Yeah,
but you can if you can't be here physically, it's a resource you can still tap into. And
it's completely Christian. So, you're getting good content from great companies that support Christian values, biblical worldviews, and things like that. So we have just always left feeling encouraged and ready to either tackle the rest of the homeschool year, implement some new things, or
cry in a corner.
Or cry in a corner. And then pick yourself up by your
bootstraps. Yes, that's right.
And then pray, lots of prayer. So, okay, you guys. So, yes, hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe to my channel if you would like to do that. And check back in if you would like to see more recaps from the rest of our time here at convention. Thank you guys so much for watching.